So I know in the last few years, there's been some shuffling of the 3-point line in college, and Geno Auriemma, coach of the famous UConn Lady Huskies, he want to see the women's line and men's line in college sports be the same. Kind of tired of seeing two different lines on the court. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? Like, I don't want to sound something, but I feel though, I don't feel that the women and men should be the same.
Why?
Um, why? I don't know. I just don't think. I mean, like, you know what? I don't think. I think women could do everything that men do, but I still think we have some more superior strength. And for the younger kids, so that means too, if it's like that in college, like younger kids going to be trying to do that too, and some younger kids might not perfect the form or have the strength to shoot that jet, and that's where I think it may be. I think in a way bad for them coming up, because
I get.
like, just excuse me for cutting you off. Now kids today, younger kids today want to make 3 pointers. They want to shoot the NBA 3 pointers. They want to do that. And I think they're not ready for that yet.
Well, I get where you're coming from. And I think that something to consider is that think about your average gym in your community, right? That's the high school 3-point line, and kids are shooting from there. So they're not even being exposed to the college line unless they're on a college court. So I have to kind of disagree with that because I think kids if they're not taught, they're going to shoot from wherever they want to shoot from anyway. Right. So it's like when I tried to take my nephew to the gym, right? He just wanted to keep shooting threes. And I was like, yo, to here, shoot, just let's get these form shots right in the paint. That way when you back out there, you're shooting the same shot. He didn't really want to hear that back when I had him in Penn's gym, back when I brought him up there for one weekend to work out in the gym with me. But what if I told you this? What if I told you where the women's line is today? 20 feet 9 inches. That's where the men's college line was before they moved that line back to 22 feet 1 3/4 inch. But if I told you the women's line is where the men's line used to be, does that change your thought when it comes to the strength argument and what women are capable of?
Um, I still think that the women's line should stay where it's at right now. That's just my opinion.
Dawn Stelly shares a similar opinion as you. Adia Barnes, coach
Right.
of Arizona, she even said it was something that she didn't really give a lot of thought to. But just when things are kind of the same, it's kind of better for the game, in her opinion, in the sense that, to Geno Auriemma's point, when you have two different lines, it's almost like another example of, saying what women aren't capable of, or that they aren't capable of doing the same thing men can do. I think we've seen a lot of examples of women who can, you can say, throw them out there on a court with their Division I counterparts that are male, and they're going to hold their own. And I think, one thing I've been witnessing, especially this year, is the evolution of women's basketball. Like I told you, it hit me when I was watching Iowa play UConn, and Caitlin Clark she looked very Steph Curry-ish. And she's not the only one. There's so many different players that I think are doing things that we're accustomed to seeing NBA players do, that I would like to argue that the women's game is even evolving at a faster rate than the men's game. And the reason I say that is because women are, I'll say they're developing their games and kind of modeling them after kind of the things we're accustomed to seeing NBA players do. When you're talking about the James Harden step backs, the Steph Curry moves, when you're talking about, Kobe faded with, like, all that stuff that we associate with NBA greats, we're starting to see in the women's game. And, another thing that I didn't think about until I kind of looked into this a little bit is think about floor spacing, right? So we're used to, and this was one of Geno Auriemma's points, we're used to men's basketball kind of being flowing. There's pretty good spacing because when you expand the line out, that means people have to guard further from the basket, right? That also opens up driving lanes, right? So now you got a lot more action versus when you kind of have a game that's kind of a standstill chess match because the lane isn't as open, right? So now you expand that line out, you open up the lane a little bit, and now your game begins to kind of be synonymous with the men's game.
All you said is true. All I mean, like like I'm just saying now, we I think women basketball is good and exciting just the way it is, even right now, without moving the line out further.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it can be even more exciting.
it can be.
Yeah, I think so. I think, for me, I would like to see the lines at the same spot personally. I think that one, you just look at how much women's basketball and women's sports are discriminated against just because there's women playing instead of men playing, right? So I think I would love to see the line in the same spot because it's a statement saying, "Hey, we can do the same thing." And I see girls hooping that are pulling up from deep, like beyond their line. So if the line was further back, they would be just fine. So I would just like to see it. I would love to see that. I think that would be a great addition. When you're talking about, oh, men are stronger, it's like, well, the women do have a slightly smaller ball. I think that there's things that can be done to also make the games more congruent. And
So
I think having a line in the same spot is one of them.
so you know what? Like the same thing. Then why not change it? I'm not saying like women can't be, but I'm saying if you want to make their 3 point line a man 3 point line, then make the basketball a man a basketball. If you want to put certain things in there, then go all the way. Like, just making it a 3 point line, but you still want to use a lighter ball. But then you still want to say they shooting from the same placement, then go ahead and do it.
But why if you know that the think about high school basketball, right? The line is the same for boys and girls. The difference is the ball. And if you're gonna say, hey, the ball, like, you don't make them play with the same ball, because that can be your thing that, to your point, compensates for the difference in biological strength factors, right? Across level. That can be your equalizer. You don't need three different things saying, oh, the line needs to be closer, the ball needs to be smaller. You can just have one thing to kind of compensate for that. And who knows, maybe one day the ball will be the same, because as we saw Candace Parker in the TNT studio, she knocked down 5 straight threes with a men's ball. She like, get at me, it don't matter, because we're that great. But what
Um,
if I told you, real quick, what if I told you that where the men's college line is, right? That is the equivalent to where the WNBA and FIBA lines are. So college men are playing on the same line as the WNBA. Does that shift your thinking a little bit more?
I mean, not really, because like what, that's college. This is the women's professional basketball, and
But
like
how
like I
much difference is there between a WNBA player and WNBA players were once college players?
right, right. So and I see where you going with that, but see, you still in college, you still are learning. You still getting taught. Like I mean, like you're saying, even though that's the WNBA line is not the same as the NBA, is the men's NBA line either.
The NBA line stands on its own. It's in a category of its own. The NBA line is 23 feet 9
Right,
inches.
right,
So
right.
the men's college and WNBA lines are 22 feet, almost 2 inches. We're gonna call it 23. We're gonna call it almost
So
23,
what
22 feet and change.
what I'm saying right now is the WNBA is still a professional league, a women's basketball league. The NBA is the man's day. So if you want to make the women and the men's equal in college, why not make the professional the same too?
That's a good point, but I think that I think the NBA, when you look at the evolution of the game, I don't think the line's length always has to do with like shooting ability. Like it can also have to do with opening up the floor and other things like that, which is I think is, in part throughout the evolution of the NBA game, reasons for moving the line, taking the line away, reinstating the line. I think it's more to it than just strength and ability to shoot from out there. Because we see guys coming at the college level. You look at Trae Young, he was shooting from the logo, and people were saying, oh, he's the next Steph because he demonstrated that range at that level.
At the college level, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. But
I
like,
don't think the lines necessarily have to match. I think the lines have to make sense for the given league. But I think when you're looking at something like college basketball, one, it's not that big of a difference between the two lines. It's like maybe a foot and a half, which I think players have demonstrated they can hit from there anyway. Like, stop having something saying, hey, this is a little bit less, because this is just one element of where there's discrepancies in the treatment of women's college players and men's players. We look at the NCAA tournament this year. They had the lower quality COVID test. They had virtually no weight room to begin with until Sedona Prince's TikTok went viral criticizing it. There were a lot of examples of that just shows how women's basketball is marginalized, and it continues. And yeah, the 3-point line might be a minor thing, a nuance, call it whatever you want. I just think it's another example of how the natural thinking in our society is that, women's basketball is a little bit lesser than men's basketball.
My opinion is I think women basketball is it's. I mean, women's basketball is exciting too. I mean, it really is exciting. And sometimes, like to see, like what, and I'm going back years ago when I used to see a girl can throw it behind the back pass or go through her legs and look another way. That looks so much better than a guy doing it. It was more exciting when I seen them because you see guys doing it all the time.